Welcome to SONIDO CUMBIATON, a podcast where we talk arts, culture, and politics and all that mess, but from
an undocumented and queer perspective.
My name is DJ Sizzle, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Julio Salgado. Amigas, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this with a friend, a comadre, your tia, your poetry lovers, and follow us on social media, IG and TikTok at @cumbiaton_LA. Amiga, ¿cómo estás?
Girl, we out here, boo. You know what? I'm a little tired. My boo and I went on a little impromptu, anniversary date yesterday, and it was so cute. It was like a beautiful day in the Bay Area. Sun was out, no clouds in sight. There was a beautiful breeze. You know, here they call it we have like a reverse summer, right? Like we don't get your typical July summertime heat. We get it más kind of going into the fall season. So it was really beautiful. The weather was really nice. So we went on an afternoon little day date. And it was cute. We're actually, and I know I've said this before, but I think we are gonna start doing our little food tour stops because we like to try out just little different restaurants and stuff. Community-based, usually mom and pop owned. There's this little restaurant that we frequent that the whole family works there. And it's they serve like fish and chips, and it's like an Asian family, and they're always there, and they're super nice, super amazing. And like those are the people that we want to continue to support as we, continue to go through this weird end of the world dynamics and society crumbling and stuff. It's important to put our money back into, POC businesses. But anyway, that's what we did yesterday. And the weekend was just thankfully full of work, thankfully full of, family and connections. So recovering also from our Noche de Cumbia in Los Angeles, which we can get into a little later because that was a lot. But friend, how are you? How are you doing?
I mean, I'm good. And congratulations to you and your boo. Que viva el amor.
Gracias.
El amor. Se necesita ahorita más que nada. Que viva el amor. I'm good. I'm tired, girl. I'm back again with another complaint as I'm aging gracefully. I hope so. I recently, yes, we had our Cumbiaton, Noche de Cumbia. That was great and exciting, and that was tiring in itself. But I hadn't flown in a while, and I recently went to New York for Climate Week in New York. I know, ella sí bien sexy.
Un verano en Nueva York.
Verano en Nueva York. But here's the thing. I used to thrive in traveling. It was my thing. I love seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time. But girl, nowadays, first of all, traveling right now as an immigrant, it's a little stressful. Not gonna lie. And then once I get there, I do what I have to do for work. But I don't have the energy to call up people. I don't drink anymore. So I don't even go to the bars. New York bars has some of the most fun gay bars, but don't even have the energy. And then on top of that, I can't eat the thing. I was staying in Jackson Heights, girl, such a good food. But because my doctor has me on a strict sugar-free diet, and I have to be very careful what I'm eating, I can't even eat how I want to eat. So my travels have completely changed. And then on top of that, bitch, I'm on my way back from New York. And then I think right now people, again, are they're in their feelings about whatever. Anyways, I'm standing in line. I'll make this story short. I'm in line about to get coffee. This man was in front of me. No, I was in line, and there was some young guys in front of me, and this guy cuts in front of me, and I was like, excuse me, sir, the line is back there. And then he turns around and he's like, those are my kids. And I was like, okay, girl, whatever. And then we get into this little argument, but then I walk away and I'm like, girl, you can't get into it right now because you have more to lose. So that's my experience in traveling right now, and having to control yourself while all these things are happening. It's a little stressful. So Needless to say, my travels have been interesting, but not what it used to be. And that's where I'm at.
I'm sorry, friend. That really sucks. I'm really happy that you got to travel to New York. It's
Girl, it
one of
was
the
fun.
most beautiful and culturally rich cities here in the U.S.,
Yeah.
where I feel like in every block you could find every type of food, every type of ethnicity, every type of just cultura in one block. And Jackson Heights. Is filled with all of that, right? Delicious food, amazing bars. And I'm sorry that you had to go through, your own share of, BS while traveling. I do feel, though, that I think people, unfortunately, are feeling a little bit more bold, or they are feeling a little bit more, como decíamos en el hood, right? Froggy, right? And I sometimes have to remind myself too that, like, damn, dude, like we are truly living in different times where it's kind of like, you really have to think twice, about the type of stuff that you are going to engage in, or that you are going to try and start. I had a similar experience with somebody in Napa, una mujer, very rude, very entitled, and I was working, girl, and I was like, oh hell no, something happened where I was like, you know what, let me look for a 10-minute freaking song, and I'm gonna let it play while I'm gonna go and try and like squirt things out with her. But yeah, people are feeling like really emboldened, dude, like, but it was one of those things where I also had to kind of check myself, where I was like, you know what, dude, I'm currently working, like I don't want to, but like the hood in me was like, I'm gonna take these freaking earrings off, girl. If it was in different times, different settings, it would be something different. You feeling froggy, leap, girl. But now we gotta it's just like, oh no, now you got Cecile hood girl activation on. And yeah, you can take the girl out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the girl, but as you're saying, right, we're reformed and we have to think twice about how we engage people, especially in this time and age, which is, it's probably for the best, but it's also crazy that we really have to just, really think through these things. But anyway, shifting out of kind of tense, right, energy, because we can't just give them all of our energy, así, ¿verdad? We got to flip it around. We got to bring it back to our joy, our laughter. And our next guest, is a mutual friend of Julio's and mine and all of our friends here. You may know her as the baddest, as an Anzacu socialite, as our girl and our longtime friend, our awesome guest, who is a longtime friend to the pod. And before this, we were just, little girls running around in Soto Street in Boyle Heights. But Julio, I'm going to let you give our girl a proper introduction.
Yes, amiga, because we are professionals, and we gotta give our friend her flowers. A writer,
Absolutely.
yes, a writer, poet, and performer. Yosimar Reyes is widely recognized for his compelling storytelling and exploration of the undocumented and queer experience. His autobiographical solo show, Prieto, has toured nationally to universities and cultural institutions across the country and is coming back to LA in November for a couple of days. Welcome, Yosi!
Welcome, girl.
Hola, hola, oli, oli, oli.
Before we started, Yosimar was like, "Girl, how do you want me, like professional or Yosi?" And we're like, "Girl, be yourself."
I'm like, this isn't the place to front. Don't try to lie to kick it, girl. You all good?
It's not Frenzy, baby. I'm multifaceted, multidimensional, and I can
Oh.
create different tones.
Yes, 100%. This is the way she is with her friends, no matter the occasion, no matter nothing. Like the wit always comes out. Por eso te dicen la viborita, girl. She's ready to strike at any time, any place. Anybody could get it.
Amiga, ¿quién le dice la víbora?
Who said that?
Ya
Who said
empezamos. Ya
that?
empezamos. Well, girl, we're so excited to have you. As you know, we started this podcast because we wanted to create a space to give a
Hunter.
counter, to give a cunty narrative of the immigrant experience, which a lot of the times the media doesn't get it right. And who better than Yossi, to bring you into the pod and, because when we think about your work, Yossi, we think about undocumented joy. And with everything that is happening right now, we wanted to kick it off with what is something that is bringing you joy right now?
Well, right now I quit my job.
Ow. Congratulations, girl.
I mean, I transitioned out of my job, you know.
Hmm.
I think that's a big thing for me. I think for us as immigrants, I mean, we love our jobs. We are workers. We show up to work. We like to do that. We like the stability of the paycheck. Bitch, if you have had benefits, girl, you love the benefits. You like, the 401k. Also because we didn't kind of grow up within this stability, right? We were hustling multiple jobs. And so I was holding on to this job for so long, which I love. I love the work that I was doing. But at the same time, as an artist, you have an inclination towards saying like, hey, I think I want to invest more in my artistic practice and I want to center myself. Also, I'm grieving the loss of my grandma, so I need to also make time. I think the biggest thing that I did with losing my grandma, I went back to work. I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to deal with it. So I went. And girl, one thing about us, we know how to take jobs, okay? So I was snatching these things. And so I think right now what's giving me joy is that I'm choosing myself and I'm choosing my home. I'm choosing to be home. I'm choosing to fix my house. I'm big, my señora era. I'm out here in my señora era. Girl, I have plants that haven't died. Ahorita cambié una planta a una maceta. I was like, oh, and it brought me so much happiness. I'm like, what the? So it's odd. It's odd to be, and especially because we've known each other since our wild days, our party days, and now to be in this place where I'm like, oh, I actually enjoy the sacredness and the quietness of my home, and that I can provide a safe space for my dog Chulito, and yeah, bitch, that I'm by myself. I'm trying to learn how to. As immigrants, we're always with hella people, so now I have to make peace with being alone and liking my own company. So I think there's a difference between solitude and loneliness. So I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Oh my God, Yossi, and yes to the Señora era. Girl, I never thought I would see the day where all three of us could have like a mini roundtable, digital roundtable, and be over here talking about, Señora era things, right? I
Mis
think
pasos de Princess House.
un poquito más calmada, un poquito más into decor. And y'all, I've had the honor and privilege of going over to Yosimar's house, and let me tell you, that thing is so gorgeous. It's a beautiful space, very cultural, very aesthetic, very higher education, very Chicana empowerment, Latina, Orgullo Hispano, de Guerrero, cultural baddie home. So we
Yeah,
love
girl.
that for you.
It looks like Sandra Cisneros is my roommate, girl. The house on Mango Street for sure.
Girl, it's a different kind of house now, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's a different kind of house, girl.
Oh my God. But we love it. It's very cultural. It's very artistic. And you'll see, segueing into our next question, let's talk a little bit more about your artistic journey, especially as an immigrant artist. Can you take us back to a young Yosimar and what made him choose a career in the arts?
I grew up in Eastside San Jose
Ew.
in an apartment where my grandma used to feed day laborers, jornaleros, las personas que venían. And back then people would travel seasonally. Yo me acuerdo que llegaban en el verano y se iban for winter, for the Christmases, and they would come. I'm like, girl, how do they pay the coyote? Because they were just making the trek. And so my house was rotating with like inquilino. They call them inquilinos. So I guess I don't know. It's not roommates. It's just people that rent the rooms. And then she would feed them. So my house was packed, and we lived in the hood, girl. En un apartamento caliente. Cuando mi abuela cocinaba, las paredes evaporized y caían. I was just, girl. Luego el
Girl,
baño.
y siempre cocinaba caldo when it was like 90
Caldo,
degrees,
girl.
huh?
It was
Sopas.
one of yeah, girl. I remember the TV was always on. I hate to this point. I don't turn on the TV because el ruido. It was just. It was a lot. It was definitely. Maybe that's why I have anxiety, girl, because it's just overstimulation from everything. And so I grew up in this house. I don't know if I've always been bougie. I don't think I was bougie. I was just wanted a stable standard of living, you know? And so I think my personality was more like, hey, there has to be something better. Like this cannot be my life. Like you're telling me that this is going to be the rest of my life. And so I think that inclination to start writing was more journaling. And so I started writing about my frustrations when I was 16, which were many frustrations, poverty, queerness, being undocumented. Oh, girl, I was a deficit. My life was like, damn, dude, I'm starting from like zero. Like, I don't like this lifestyle. I was Teresa living in that apartment in La Novela. Odio ser pobre. Odio ser pobre. I just remember poverty was the thing that I hated the most. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to do in my work is that I wanted to talk about poverty because it's real and it's a violence. It tears at your spirit, at your mental. And so I think I started writing those first poems. And then I picked up and reading was a way out of that. And so I started reading and then I became a very avid reader. I love books. Books allowed me to envision a different possibility. And so, yeah, when I was 16, my high school teacher was like, hey, you write in a journal, you should write poems. And she's helped me submit into a Latino poetry competition. I won $50 and I was like, girl,
You felt it.
what can I write to make 100? So it was definitely also an avenue of like, Dad, I feel like there's a possibility here. And then at the time in high school, if you remember the May 1st boycott, all that stuff that was happening, I remember cutting school to go to the biggest demonstration we've seen. And there was not a lot of young, undocumented kids doing this. And so I think for me, that also became the thing that there was a hunger for this specific narrative. And then that's when I started really, really going into it. And also there was a war that was happening. And so I was doing part of all these circles that I was just writing and performing. And so she became the poster child for bilingual poetry, baby.
You see, you mentioned, you're talking class and poverty, and a lot of us felt that growing up, right? I've noticed, I don't know if this is your experience, and we get to talk to a lot of young students, and they mention your work and how they're they see themselves in their work. But a lot of the times I've noticed that people feel limited because of their circumstances, right? Whether it's being undocumented, whether it's being, growing up, coming from a poor family. I could not imagine not drawing or not creating. This was my excuse. Were you able to create, in the midst of all the things that were happening politically and, you living in, with lower, resources, lesser
Yeah,
resources?
I think for me was more. I think the state, what they call it, soothing. Jesus was teaching us about soothing, where you like tap, where you're having an episode, and so I think reading was my soothing. It was subconscious in the way in which I was dealing with big stressors, and reading was a way that I can just focus for hours on something and go to different places and be intrigued. And so I think that was my soothing. Now that I am older and now that I've survived, I think now the anxiety is really real because now I'm dealing with PTSD. I'm dealing with all these other things that I thought I had. I was like, girl, why wasn't I getting panic attack when I was in the hood stomping on roaches? Now I have it in my nice house. I'm having white women problems where now I have to take medication to calm my ass down. But I think it was more reading became that soothing that allowed me to calm down
Yeah.
all those
You,
stress.
you need an outlet.
Yeah, and the outlet.
And I will say, Yossi inspires the girls to read. And I cannot stress how important that is. now more than ever, just because I feel like a lot of people don't have those critical thinking, critical analysis traits. And Yossi, you do that for people. You encourage girls like myself, right, who used to love and used to get excited about the scholastic book fairs, right, back in the day. And then for whatever reason, hood or traumatic instances kind of veered us away from, our love for writing, our love for books, right? But I do want to say and give you your flowers and say that you inspire people like myself to continuously, read and expand your knowledge, expand your vocabulary, but also in a way that is not patronizing to others. So for that, I want to give you your flowers, sister, and tell you thank you for just being so down to earth and for making us also kind of, relate to somebody like yourself who is not only a poet, you're an author, you're a playwright now, you do so much for your community and your people. And we are, again, super excited that, we get to have you on our podcast because people also get to listen and hear about who you are, from youth, pero también in what you're doing currently. So with that being said, I have another question for you. And it is just to kind of get a sense of like what gets you excited about storytelling, especially in like hard political climates like the ones we're living in right now.
Yeah, I think right now the storytelling that gets me, I don't know. I feel like we're all the same. Girl, we're tired. We are tired. I told the girls that the Dream Act is like that boyfriend that has not changed in 20 something years, baby. So you need to hoe around. You need to be out here, girl. Cheat on that man. Cheat on the Dream Act, girl, because we are not getting it. And I think that's partially why I decided to quit my job. I started therapy recently, and so I'm trying to do the internal work to build my spirit. And I remember this when I started writing poetry when I was 16, I told myself, like, I'm writing to make my spirit so strong. And at the time, I was dealing with coming out to my family. Like, I need to tell my family that I'm gay. And, the immigrants are so dramatic and, oh, gay is the worst thing that you go. Girl, wait till I tell you I'm a hoe. Like, they're so dramatic. And so I remember I would write, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make myself so strong that if my family ever rejects me, then I'm just gonna be happy being by myself. And that's sad when you're 16 that is what you're thinking the work that you need to do. And so now that I'm 37, the work that I need to do is I need to build myself so strong that if I choose to leave or when I choose to leave this place, that I'm going to be set and I'm going to be fine and I'm going to be fine walking away. And so I think right now that's where I'm at trying to figure out. And what excites me, the narratives, is that now we are witnessing our friends choose their own freedom and choose the agency of departing. And so right now that I know have Prieto coming out to LA, but I'm working on a second show that's about returning. And it's about that. Like, oh my God, I think someone needs to let us know that with all these mass deportations that are happening, the likelihood of us returning is very likely. And so someone needs to be a leader in artistic expression of giving us the possibility of returning with dignity. And how can we choose that over continuing to stay in a place that disregards us, that attacks us, that chews us up and extract us? And so how do we choose ourselves in the midst of all of this? So I think that's where I'm gearing towards. Primeramente Dios is like, I just want to those are the new narratives that I think we need to start exploring.
I'm excited, Yossi, because that's exactly also one of the things that we're also talking to people about, changing that scary idea of like returning to a land that we might not be familiar with anymore, right? But like really changing that. So I'm excited to hear about that. But before we get into that, let's talk about, you start mentioning Prieto, your solo show, which is coming back in November. I'm so excited. I remember watching the first iteration years ago. So I'm excited to come, see you in when you come bring it to LA. For folks who may not be, who are not familiar with the show, can you tell us what the show is about?
Prieto is synopsis, the synopsis.
Synopsis. I almost said it. But I was like, girl,
You had it,
Don't
sis.
say it like that.
I used to translate when fifth grade, when the new arrivals used to come from Mexico, I was a translator. So that's why I became very good. So I thank you for that beautiful memory.
ESL,
Sí se
ESL,
puede.
ESL.
So
Uh,
Prieto,
well, the synopsis
the summary.
the summary of Prieto. It's a coming of age story of growing up documented and queer in East Side San Jose. And it follows kind of my trek on kind of like this, how I discovered poetry and how poetry became an outlet for myself. And so, yeah, it's just the merger of coming out as undocumented, as queer. And then you get to meet all the amazing, beautiful people that inspired my writing. So my abuela, my abuelito, my vecinos. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of the show. And from the version that you saw last time, baby, it got better. Girl, the budget went up. Okay, the budget went up. So I'm excited to see that I wrote something really beautiful and the production value is of caliber. And so, yeah, because I know we did like a reading, and since then, I'm so happy. My writing's getting better. My production, the way that I produce things, has getting better. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm growing. I think it's really, really exciting.
Girl, and when was the last time you premiered something in LA?
Honestly, this is the one we did was a workshop. So it's a workshop, a work in process, and this is the first time that I'm doing something like at this magnitude in Los Angeles. So, girl, I'm out here making these folks work because I'm like, girl, the LA girls will
As you should.
they eat you up, girl. They will eat. I was like, that's what I pay for. You know what I mean? So I need to make sure. Porque ven todo ven, todo ven.
Yeah. But it was amazing. If y'all got a chance to check out the first Prieto, which was pre-pandemic. So that means it is about, like 7 or 8 now years old, or since you caught something of this magnitude, right? And it only got better, y'all. So make sure you buy your tickets. You have how many shows planned in November?
We have 4 shows, November 20 to the 23rd. We have, and girl, I announced it on Friday. We already sold half of the tickets. So, baby, you better go get the tickets. One of the things I hate about the girls is that, like, as event producers, okay, this is a call out culture to the girls for the event production. Baby, we post a flyer, we post the link, we post the information, we post the time it starts, we post the venue, we post the ticket price. Do not text me the day of the damn event. Baby girl, I forgot
An hour before.
An hour before. Can I get on the list? Hey, what's the address? What time does it start? Hey, who's going on first? Girl, do not come, as Kamala said.
Damn.
And my sis is like that. You think she's playing. You
I
think
know,
she's
girl. I will
playing.
not
She
open the
does
door.
not play. She's a Virgo. That point blank period.
I
She's a
already
Virgo.
want the
Girl.
girls to
Respect.
start putting it in their calendar. I don't want you showing up late to the function, disturbing my monologue, and still wetting everybody because you show up with wet hair.
Girl, I already got my ticket. I'm gonna go to the Sunday show on the 23rd at 2 p.m. I'll be there for the girls who, bring your friends. It's an amazing show. And you gotta support, for as much as we're talking about showing up for immigrants, yes, when we are in need, but also showing up when we are in joy. And this is going to be a show that Yosimar has put a lot of love, creativity. We've seen him go through it and putting that out into the world. And so that is not an easy, feat to do. And so congratulations, Yossi. We're so excited. We're so proud of you, girl. So proud.
We're all going to be in the house. So this is the hottest show in Los Angeles happening in November. So y'all better get your tickets. Do not hit any of us up for guest list because I will tell you, we do not have access to that. And Yossi te va a mandar mucho al carajo. All right. And we ain't got time for that.
Catch the Mexico production, girl.
Well, on that note, we're going to move on to our next segment, which we call "What's in Your Cultural Rotation?" Insert the music here. We need a music for that segment.
Yeah. We'll come up with some cute music.
Little maracas.
Yeah.
Maracas.
Girl. And Yossi, you're more than welcome, obviously, to stick around for our What's on Our Cultural Rotation, because we often do ask our guests to also share with us, because I think people can benefit, right, from seeing and hearing what we all have on our cultural rotation list. So, Julio, do you want to start with what's on your cultural rotation at the moment?
I have many things in my cultural rotations, but you know what? Something, Yosimar, I've actually, one of the things that I love you mentioning, on your social media is that if you want to do something good, study the craft that you're trying, to do. In my case, since we started this podcast, I've been a fan of podcasts, for a while now. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts because it ain't easy, y'all. It is not easy. And so, one of my favorite ones that I've been listening to right now, Why Won't You Date Me with Nicole Breyer, like an amazing, just if you want to listen to somebody go off in their own, tangent, but also like make sense. Nicole Byer is your girl. And so I love watching, that for like my political, podcasts, rotation. I have, the vibe check with Sam, I forget his last name, but it's a very, three gays, talking politics. And yeah, so it's just any podcast, video podcast, to study the craft. Shout out to our homegirls, Locatora Radio. I was, talking to Diosa and, so proud of their work. And they recently, in their latest episode, talk about they were in a book and, somebody interviewed them and sort of like following their career and not criticizing them from going from indie to a network. And I was just telling them, I was like, girl, you're kind of like, one of the girls that have been doing this for a long time. So they're always like, if you need anything, let us know. So as Yosimar says, study the craft that you're trying to be good at. Pay attention and make it your own, right? A lot of people are afraid to read something or look something because they're afraid they're unconsciously going to copy it. But no, if you have it in you, you're going to do it, but you do need to study it. So that's my rotation. Podcasts, video podcasts. How about you, Sizzle?
So I am more of a spooky girl by nature. So I listen to a lot of true crime. I listen to a lot of like spooky stories, and I will share some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to. For true crime, I listen to Crime Junkie, and I've been a loyal listener for the last 4 years. And they cover stories from all over the U.S. and beyond. Sometimes they do international cases as well. But I will say, as a woman, it's definitely made me a lot more aware of, not only my surroundings, my relationships with people, and it's just kind of, I mean, we always have our, kind of bells on, right? As just women of color, period. And queer people too, so it's really been one of those ones that like I just listen to while I'm, doing my laundry, doing my errands, lo que sea. But one that I actually really love right now is Spooked, and it is on a network, KQED, out here in the Bay Area. So they're actually doing a lot of, I think this is the first year that they're taking it on tour. So they're doing like live episodes, recordings, and it's people storytelling, right, about their different encounters with the supernatural. And I love that stuff. I love it. Like I could literally have it on in the background as I'm falling asleep, and I'm like, oh, this is the best. Like that's how the weird and kooky my brain is. Like sometimes I don't know why, but that's just the things that like bring me a lot of joy. Julio, you're
Amiga, eso me da miedo. I respect it. I respect the unknown, but
yeah.
Para ti lo que quieras, amiga.
Girl, I love it because I also think, I mean, I don't know if this was your experience, but I grew up in a household where, my parents are from very rural areas of Mexico, Yucatan and Guerrero, right? But like smaller pueblitos that do have a lot of folklore, and they do have a lot of like cuentos, right? And I was always fascinated by that. So anytime we would sit around and just tell ghost stories, it's very nostalgic to me. And I think that's why I gravitate towards things like that I'm just like, oh, this is so comforting when you're talking talking about fucking nahuales, when you're talking about La Llorona, when you're talking about aliens. Also, there's different theories that I'm not going to get into, but maybe we could cover this in our next October episode since we are nearing spooky season. Oh my God, what if we do like something about, you know, spooky, I don't know, cuentos de... There's also a Spanish one, Relatos de la Noche, and it's completely in Spanish. So I listened to that to also just be like, you know, what are actual Spanish speaking people from Mexico? Like, how do they pronounce it? Because, you know, girls, we're pochas. As much as we want to say, yes, we're Mexicanas, and I don't know what, se nos sale lo Selena a veces. And, you know, so I try to also up my vocab, you know, through listening, through different podcasts in Spanish, although I should be reading more in Spanish. But maybe Yosimar can share some of those books that he's been reading in Spanish to, you know, have the girls up their vocabulary. So Yossi, we're going to we're going to pass the mic to you so you can enlighten us on your rotation currently.
I thought you never asked. Actually, I'm actually reading una escritora de México que se llama Dalia de la Cerda. Lo estoy leyendo en inglés, pero los voy a leer en español. Se llama Reservoir Bitches. Oh my God, girl. This is so good. These are all it's short stories, but they're all Mexican mujeres. So son mujeres mexicanas dealing with contemporary times. One of the stories is kind of like a cartel daughter, but it reads like Mean Girls. Imagine if Mean Girls, pero the lead was hija de un cartel. So girl, it's kind of graphic. The other one is a woman that is getting an abortion. It's like all these like women that Mexico society would not consider as, you know, how Mexicans are. And so this one's really good. Reservoir Bitches. I love it. I love the voice. I love how badass she is. And she's Dalia de la Cerda. Amazing. You should follow her on Instagram. Pero it's not translated in English, but I really, really love it. And it was a quick read. I finished it one day. And right now, because I am doing a book event on this week, The Cost of Being Undocumented. Honestly, a veces no me gusta que la gente me mande libros about being undocumented because what new insight, baby? But this one is really good because I think it just follows it does the math of how expensive it is to be undocumented, what it costs to us. And so I think it's putting that in that perspective. And so it's based on research. So it's more academically, but me gusta. I like the narrative, how it's building to all these things. And it just came out too. So I got a copy of that. But yeah, and then other than that, what else am I doing? Nothing, just como lo mismo, watching. I mean, en mi casa, there's this, since we miss Wendy Williams, we miss Wendy Williams was our break at our house when me and Julio lived together. That was our girl. Shout out to Miss Wendy. Hopefully you're getting better, babe. But there's a black YouTuber named Funky Dineva that does the news. And she's really, really funny. And that has been my hour when I come home from work to cook and feed Chulito. And I watch that. And then I get all the celebrity gossip and also get the political from a ratchet perspective, because I feel like that's how you get the news. But yeah,
absolutely.
She's in the cover of the New York Magazine. She gave an interview, so I haven't read the article yet. So Ms. Wendy Williams, she's back, and she's like, Wendy Williams. The title of the article is called "Wendy Williams Wants Out." So I'm interested in reading it. So I won't say much about it. But yeah, girl.
Yes, girl, we love you, Wendy. And now, before we end the segment, I would love to also get your take. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier in the episode, but kind of, ending on a positive, more futuristic, optimistic outlook. Yossi, I want to ask you, if you were to finally leave the U.S., whether it's adjusted through status...
Wait.
You were to finally leave.
Girl, because we've been having these conversations, and as an undocumented or an undocu-lens podcast, we love to have these conversations with one another, right? Like in any just ideal worlds, right? Whether it's through your own choosing or through adjustment. If you could choose to live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why?
You know what, girl? I'm a Virgo, honey. I already took tours of all these cities through YouTube. A shout out to the expats, because them bitches are doing it right. Them bitches are making blogs and money, and they're going into your town, girl. They're telling you what neighborhoods to live. They're telling you how much the rent is, which is very heartbreaking. I am so heartbroken because I'm like, that's what we need to be doing for us to return. That's what we need to be doing. That's what our country needs to be showing us, like the possibilities of living in this place and making it feasible for us to imagine that. I actually been looking at Querétaro as a destination because I feel like it's close enough but far enough from the hecticness of the city, and it's such an artsy city, and it's such a beautiful place. So I've actually been looking there because I'm like, oh, that would be a cute place for me to eat, pray, love. Eat Tlayudas in Querétaro. And so I've been looking at there. And I think in this conversation about leaving this place, I think for me, the biggest thing, again, poverty has been such a traumatic event in my life that I don't want to envision myself returning to a place to struggle. And if I'm going, it's going to be because I have established a mechanism for me to live an abundant life with resources and things because I am conditioned to a different level. And I think that was the hardest thing I'm realizing. And I think the hardest thing now is that we're older, girl. We're not in our phase of being explorers. Like Julia was saying, she doesn't like to get on planes. I don't like to travel like that anymore. Like after 3 days, girl, I need to be home, girl. I have my dog, I have my plans. I start thinking of that. And so I think for me, the biggest thing with leaving is not necessarily because I love the San Jose or this place. It's because all the people that I love are here. And so if I am being taken away from the possibility of not seeing you, of not being able to go to Julio's or Reina's restaurant or Luis's, if I don't have that, then what happens to your spirit when all the people that breathe life into you when you doubt yourself are no longer there, you know? And so I think that's the biggest fear, that you're not necessarily losing a place, but you're losing a community. And so that's what makes the country a people, not a government.
Ooh, she said, mic drop, bitch. Brr, 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 brr.
Oh, I miss y'all. I miss just like, like, girl, come over. We're gonna have some, tacos at the Soto apartment and have some drink, have some beers.
Some non-alcoholic
Some
drinks.
non-alcoholic. Sometimes I think about that, but Yosimar, again, thank you so much for gracing our, little humble podcast. We're still starting, we're still figuring it out, but we appreciate you stopping by. Can you remind again for the folks in the back, where can they get the tickets for your upcoming solo show, Prieto, in Los Angeles?
Girl, it's a quick Google search. Type Yosimar Reyes Prieto brown paper tickets, and you will take you to that. If not, you can follow me on my website, yosimar.com. And if you're not dramatic, you might have the privilege of me allowing you to follow me on Instagram at Yosi Rey. So, period.
She is an exclusive IG.
Private
Yes.
Instagram. It's
She
not
said
for
pay-per-view, baby.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
No, I was just going to say, Yossi, thank you so much for bringing your unmistakable, undeniable presence, your beauty, your joy here with Julio and I. We've been, wanting to find the perfect moment to bring you in, and there is no perfect moment other than the present, but also in one where we also get to uplift this beautiful and amazing show. As I mentioned, a few of us were super lucky enough to witness it 7 or 8 years ago, but now it's coming bigger, better, bolder. The production value is there. Y'all make sure you get your tickets, and once you're there, you get your merch and support our girls, because one of these things that nobody is going to take away from us is our community, our joy, and más que nada, our undocu joy. So, Yosimar, congratulations on this beautiful, amazing event that's going to be happening at the end of November. Get your tickets, and thank you again, Yosi, for joining us. Thank you, Julio, for the love, the laughter, and the realness that you also bring to our show. Is there any other closing words that you all want to add?
Yeah, well, just thank you so much. And shout out to our producers, Jesus and Pablo, who are in the room, but you cannot see them. But They're always there, keeping us on track. So thank you all.
Thank you both.
Yes, and that's our show, folks. Please subscribe, give this video a like. If you're watching this clip, share it and share with your friends.
Share with your friends, with your families, with your chanchos, with your sanchas. Con todos, girl.
Con todas. Y pues como decimos siempre, how do we end it?
Sometimes we end it a couple of different ways, but I'm going to say mine and you can end it with the other one. Please do not forget to support your local undocumented immigrant homies and
don't call your ex.
Do not text your ex.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Nos vemos. Love you, friends.
Adios.
Bye.